Hermès is under fire. Lawsuits, counterfeits, and a shocking price crash are shaking the luxury world. And at the center of it all, the escalating China-US trade war. Let's dive into how the luxury industry, specifically Hermès, is dealing with a growing crisis during the US-China trade war. Over the past few weeks, TikTok has been flooded with videos claiming to sell authentic Hermès Birkin bags directly from Chinese factories at a fraction of their usual price. These clips showcase factory workers and influencers asserting that they produce the same bags using identical materials but without the luxury markup. Some even allege that the only difference is the absence of the Hermès logo, offering consumers a chance to own a real Birkin without the hefty price tag. One viral video features a factory representative breaking down the cost of producing a $38,000 Birkin bag, estimating the actual material and labor costs at around $1,450. This narrative challenges the traditional luxury pricing model, suggesting that branding, rather than craftsmanship, accounts for the majority of the cost. However, luxury experts and brand representatives have raised concerns about these claims. Koyana Redstar, head of luxury buying at Luxe du Jour and an experienced handbag authenticator, warns against purchasing such items. She emphasizes that Hermès manufactures its bags in European ateliers with trained artisans, and the counterfeit versions seen online are identifiable by experts due to incorrect design features such as handle shapes and leather grain. The timing of these videos coincides with escalating trade tensions between the US and China. Under President Trump's administration, steep tariffs have been imposed on Chinese imports, prompting retaliatory measures from China. In this context, some analysts suggest that the surge in counterfeit luxury goods and the accompanying social media campaigns may be part of a broader strategy by Chinese manufacturers to undermine Western luxury brands and challenge their pricing structures. As the luxury industry grapples with these challenges, questions arise about the integrity of luxury branding, the impact of counterfeit goods on consumer trust, and the broader implications of geopolitical tensions on global markets. With the spotlight now on these counterfeit claims, it's important to understand why so many consumers are falling for these authentic alternatives that seem to be everywhere online. Over the past few months, social media, especially TikTok and Xiaohongshu, has become a hotspot for videos claiming to sell factory-direct luxury items. What makes this different from your usual knockoff hustle is how boldly and confidently these sellers present themselves. They're filming inside what they claim are high-end manufacturing facilities, confidently stating that they make products for brands like Hermès, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton. The videos often come with behind-the-scenes glimpses, leather pieces being cut, hardware being engraved, and bags being assembled by skilled hands. These creators say they use the same materials, techniques, and suppliers as the official brands. They're just skipping the branding and the luxury markup. And for some consumers, that's all they need to hear. What's really driving the appeal of these dupes, or unbranded originals, is a combination of rising frustration and curiosity. First, there's affordability. Not everyone can spend tens of thousands of dollars on a handbag. When a nearly identical product is being offered for under $1,000, it's understandably tempting. Then, there's the growing anti-establishment sentiment, especially among younger audiences. A lot of people have started questioning the ethics and economics of luxury pricing. They're asking, is the bag really worth $30,000? Or am I just paying for the brand name and status symbol? Social media has become the perfect platform for these conversations, giving consumers a space to voice skepticism and share alternatives. On top of that, many of these videos tap into a broader distrust of luxury fashion houses. People wonder how much of the price really reflects quality craftsmanship and how much is marketing hype. As a result, the line between counterfeit and gray market becomes blurry for many viewers. If a bag is made in the same way, by the same people, but sold without a logo, is it still fake or just a rebellion against inflated prices? In this environment, the definition of authenticity is shifting. For some, it's no longer about logos or brand guarantees. It's about quality, transparency, and access. But for the luxury industry, that shift presents a serious threat. If enough consumers start to believe that a luxury product can be replicated and sold for a fraction of the cost, the very foundation of exclusivity and prestige begins to crack. But amidst the rise of counterfeit goods, Hermès maintains its commitment to quality. Let's take a closer look at how the brand's manufacturing process stands in stark contrast to these knockoffs. For decades, Hermès has built its legacy on precision, craftsmanship, and exclusivity. Every Birkin or Kelly bag is handcrafted in a European atelier, most commonly in France, by a single artisan who undergoes years of of training. These bags aren't mass-produced. They can take anywhere from 15 to 20 hours to make, and the brand famously limits supply to maintain prestige. That's why Hermès items are often viewed less like fashion accessories and more like long-term investments. Hermès doesn't just rely on its brand name. It leans heavily on its craftsmanship as a proof of value. From the stitching to the leather treatment, everything is closely monitored. Each artisan leaves a small signature inside the bag, and materials are sourced from elite tanneries exclusive to the brand. This rigorous attention to detail is what sets their products apart and justifies their sky-high price tags, at least in the eyes of collectors and connoisseurs. Experts like Koyana Redstar, who specializes in verifying high-end bags, point out that even the most convincing counterfeits fall short under scrutiny. According to her, fake bags often miss key construction elements like handle curvature, stitch, tension, and hardware weight. The leather grain might look similar in photos, but up close, the difference becomes clear to trained eyes. But despite this strong stance on quality, Hermès has faced mounting pressure to respond to the growing number of counterfeit claims circulating online. The brand has largely remained silent on the viral videos directly, choosing not to amplify them with official responses. Instead, Hermès seems to be relying on legal action and its reputation to do the talking. Reports suggest that the company has quietly issued cease and desist letters and pushed platforms to take down content that suggests Hermès bags are being manufactured in Chinese factories. This low-profile approach might be a strategic choice. Publicly addressing the allegations could risk validating them, drawing even more attention to the videos. Still, this strategy isn't without risk. In an age where transparency and accountability are increasingly valued by consumers, Hermès' decision to avoid a public explanation may seem evasive. And as more viewers become exposed to the narrative of factory-direct, authentic bags, the brand's traditional methods of brand protection may no longer be enough. While Hermès champions craftsmanship, global economic pressures, like the ongoing trade war between the US and China, are complicating matters for luxury brands. Let's explore how tariffs are reshaping the luxury market. The China-USA trade war, particularly in its most recent phases, has had a direct ripple effect on the luxury market. As the US imposed new tariffs on Chinese imports, costs inevitably began to rise, not just for electronics and raw materials, but also for goods connected to the luxury fashion supply chain. While Hermès itself manufactures in Europe, it still relies on global logistics, packaging, and material sourcing, some of which tie back to China. The result? A steady increase in retail prices, especially in the American market. For American consumers, this meant that already expensive items, like a Birkin or Kelly bag, became even more inaccessible. This pricing pressure has pushed many to search for more affordable options, and that's where counterfeit markets and these so-called factory direct sellers on social media start to thrive. They offer an enticing alternative, the same look, similar quality, at least on the surface, and no import headaches or luxury tax premiums. But the effect hasn't just been on consumers. It's forced brands like Hermès to rethink their pricing and positioning. In response to tariffs and shifting consumer behavior, many luxury brands have adopted region-specific pricing models. For instance, a Hermès bag might now be significantly cheaper in Europe or Asia compared to the US, even after adjusting for currency. Still, the trade war has made it harder for brands to maintain uniform pricing and brand identity across global markets. Consumers today are savvier, able to compare prices across regions in seconds, and when they see a $20,000 markup for the same product due to tariffs or geographic pricing, it breeds distrust. Ultimately, this economic tension between the US and China has put luxury brands in a tough spot. They're trying to protect their brand image, manage international logistics, and stay competitive, all while navigating political uncertainty. And in the chaos, social media sellers and counterfeiters are finding just the right gaps to slip through. With prices on the rise and counterfeit goods flooding the market, it's no surprise that brands like Hermès are taking legal action to protect their name and their business. But what's really at stake here? As counterfeit culture gains traction online, luxury brands like Hermès are ramping up efforts to protect their reputation and their bottom line. Behind the scenes, there's a legal war being waged against counterfeiters, unauthorized sellers, and the digital platforms that host them. Hermès, in particular, has a long history of aggressively defending its brand, and this latest wave of social media-fueled fakes is no exception. In response to the recent surge in factory direct claims, Hermès and other luxury houses have been issuing cease and desist letters, filing lawsuits, and partnering with tech platforms to take down infringing content. TikTok, Instagram, and even Chinese platforms like Xiaohongshu have reportedly removed dozens of posts promoting alleged counterfeit Hermès products. products. In some cases, entire seller accounts have been banned for repeated violations of intellectual property laws. Hermès has also taken legal action against individuals and companies found selling fake bags that closely mimic the design and build of their iconic products. In the US, the brand has pursued civil lawsuits seeking damages for trademark infringement and unfair competition, often leading to multi-million-dollar judgments. But protecting the brand goes beyond courtrooms. Hermès has also invested in advanced authentication technologies and collaborated with customs agencies worldwide to identify and seize counterfeit shipments. These behind-the-scenes efforts help slow down the flood of fake goods, but it's a constant battle. As we reflect on how counterfeit culture is altering the luxury landscape, it's important to consider what this means for the future of brands like Hermès and the luxury industry at large. Luxury brands like Hermès are facing a perfect storm, one that blends economic pressure, digital disruption, and changing cultural values. Between the ongoing China-USA trade tensions and the explosion of counterfeit claims across social media, the traditional model of exclusivity and heritage is under serious strain. For Hermès, what was once a tightly controlled ecosystem of artisan-crafted, high-status goods has now become the center of an online battleground filled with lookalikes, legal fights, and growing consumer doubt. What makes this even more complex is that today's consumers aren't just victims of deception, they're often willing participants in the rise of dupe culture, with younger generations questioning whether a luxury label truly justifies a five-figure price tag. And with influencers proudly flaunting affordable alternatives, the boundaries between real and replica have begun to blur. Looking ahead, the luxury industry has a choice to make: either double down on its traditions, tightening control, improving education, and reinforcing authenticity, or evolve to meet a market that's increasingly driven by access, transparency, and speed. One thing is clear though: consumer awareness will play a major role in shaping what luxury means in the years to come. So, what do you think? Can brands like Hermès survive in this new world of digital counterfeits and changing consumer expectations? Do you think brands like Hermès can survive this shift, or is the era of old-school luxury coming to an end? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more insights.